What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today is our season finale of our Bardstown Bourbon Company week here on Bourbon of the Week. This is the weeder. We already did the bourbon as well as the rye, so make sure you check both of those videos out after this one, of course. Today, we're going to learn about this bottle right here for our Bourbon Bomb of the Week. Make sure you stick around for that. We're going to learn about the master distiller, Steve Nalley, but let's pour this up. Let's get into it. Everybody knows price, taste, drinkability. Let's do this. Of course, we got to move the bottle over here for the thumbnail shot, but let's pour this up, and everybody knows, wait for it. Time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. I think the weeder might be my favorite. So here we go. This might be a little bit of a shorter video because we already talked about Bardstown Bourbon Company twice this week, so I don't want to keep you too long. This bottle tells you everything you need to know right on the side of it. The origin is Bardstown Bourbon Company. This origin series is the first stuff that Bardstown Bourbon Company put out on their own. They're discontinuing the Fusion series. If you want to learn more about that, check out my last video. The age on this is 6 years, and the mash bill comes in at 68% corn, 20% wheat, which leaves us with 12% malted barley. This bottle was distilled in fall of 2016, and unlike the other two bottles, this bottle comes in at 100 proof rather than 96 proof, which is a perfect segue right into drinkability. How much ethanol kick does this bottle have for 100 proof? Let's get into it. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, first of all, welcome. But let me just tell you, I use price, taste, drinkability for very specific reasons. When I first got into drinking whiskey, I thought drinkability was one of the most important factors, right? I didn't like anything with a lot of ethanol kick. Now, as I progressed through my bourbon journey, I started to realize that maybe I can tolerate a little bit more heat as long as it offers me more flavors. But I still like to separate those categories because I think somebody either newer to whiskey, or even if you're 4 or 5 or 20 years into this, you can still appreciate the factor of, does this have a lot of ethanol compared to the proof? This glass compared to the other two that I had, which were only 96 proof, so we're talking a 4 proof difference on this, seems to drink a lot hotter than the other two. That being said, I don't always like to compare whiskeys side by side, but we do like to do that eventually. And this Tuesday on the 18th, we're going to pair up with Gentleman and Whiskey and drink all 3 of these blind side by side. So make sure you click that like and subscribe button so you can make sure you tune in for that. But this glass, we got to take another sip and see what we think when it comes to drinkability. I gotta tell you, this drink's a little bit over its proof, and it's nothing overwhelming by any means, but I don't think I would ever blind this at 100 proof, at least not the way I'm sipping it right now. And this isn't my first glass of whiskey for the night, which is usually like an indicator, okay, have a glass or two, and then you can start to hone in on that proof a little bit better. But for this, at 100 proof, I will say drink's a little bit hot. Now, the question when we get into taste is going to be, does it make up for that when it comes to taste? Which is why we do 2 separate scores. So for drinkability alone on this, I gotta give this, I hate to do it, but we got to go like low 7s, 7.23 when it comes to drinkability on this glass right here. Now, if you don't know how my scale works, basically I put this at an 8.0 if I think it drinks right at its proof. Obviously, this drank a little bit hot for me, which is why we dropped it down just a little bit. But I think that's going to make up for all of that when it comes to taste on this. Let's take another sip. We'll talk about some tasting notes and give this a score for taste. Now, here's the thing about this glass when it comes to taste on this. I thought that rye was complex with that cherry oak influence and that extra aging process, but this glass right here is definitely the most complex of the 3. I'm getting vanillas, I'm getting toffees, which is obviously a very generic bourbon flavor. Then I'm getting plums, I'm getting raspberries, I'm getting a chocolate note on this, and some age that I was kind of missing from those other 2 glasses. This right here is complexity in a glass. I love it. Let's keep drinking this and see if we can pull any more flavors out of it. I also feel like I'm getting, you might call it apricot, I'm going to call it peaches because I have yet to try an actual apricot these days. I feel like I'm getting a peach note on this, also mixed in with maybe a little bit of a peanut note, maybe because of that 12% malted barley. But I feel like if anybody else tried to put this flavor profile together, it would just not work. And because it's Bardstown Bourbon Company and they're so good at that blending process, it works for this glass right here, and it works pretty damn well. This is definitely the tastiest of the 3, and I feel like as I continue to drink this bottle, I'm probably going to pick out even more notes that I'm not getting off this particular glass right here, which means this is going to only get better with time. We're going to go like high 8s for this. I'm going to go like an 8.93 when it comes to taste on this bottle right here. And as I pour some more up, we're going to get into price on this last, and this bottle comes in at $44.99. And again, not a bad price at all, but we talked about drinkability on this a little bit lower than the other two bottles, but then that taste a little bit higher than the other two bottles. So I think I'm going to keep price short and sweet for you. I think we're going to go right around that low 8s when it comes to price on this. Again, the price of the other bottle was like $20 more when it came to the rye. So this bottle right here for a weeder for $44.99, I can't really complain too much about it. Let's put it right in those low 8s at like an 8.16 when it comes to price on this. If the drinkability on this bottle was just a little bit better, this might top our all-time list. But listen, while I add these scores up, let's send it over to this week's Bourbon Bomb of the Week and learn a little bit more about Steve Nalley, the master distiller behind these beautiful bottles right here. Cheers, y'all. So Steve Nalley is probably one of the names in the whiskey world that you know if you've been in it for a little while. Now, I don't claim to be the biggest history buff. There's plenty of people here on WhiskeyTube that know plenty more about the history of whiskey than I do, as well as the people involved. But Steve Nalley is one of the names and one of the people that I would love to meet and I would love to sit down and chat with one day. This man has over 50 years of experience in the industry. He actually made his name coming up through Maker's Mark, where he held every role that you can imagine, including Master Distiller. He's been doing it so long, he retired in 2003. He opened a consulting firm where he opened brands like Wyoming Whiskey, which launched in 2009. He was inducted into the Bourbon Hall of Fame in 2011. That was 12 years ago. And then he started with Bardstown Bourbon Company in 2015. And look at where we are now. Master Distiller, Bardstown Bourbon Company, 2023. Origin series. What else do we have to say about this guy? And Bardstown Bourbon Company doesn't stop there. They have 50 different mash bills for 30 different customers, and it's absolutely crazy that this guy is the head of all of it as the master distiller. It's one of those people, along with Dixon Deadman, that I really, truly want to sit down and talk with. They have so much knowledge that I would love to absorb just about the whiskey community in general, where it's going, where it's been. So Steve Nalley, shout out to you. If you ever happen to see this one day, please shoot me an email or something. Cheers, y'all. Hey, if you haven't clicked that like or subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it if you do it right now. This bottle comes in at an 8.11, losing ever so slightly to that white label, which is surprising to me. We talk all the time, does the ethanol kick make up for it with taste? And I don't think it quite does right here. That white label is so good when it comes to taste, although it's generic, and the easy drinkability on that kind of just drowns this out a little bit. The rye is right up there as well. All of these in the low 8s. Fantastic spots for all of these bottles. If you have an opportunity to pick up any one of these, I would highly recommend it, but that's where we're going to leave you for today. Make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. Check out our Discord page. We have a link in the description below. Almost 300 members in our Discord. We chat 24/7. And check out our Patreon page. We have a lot of cool perks just for patrons. So go click that link in the description below to the Patreon page. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly and stay healthy, stay happy. Stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. The Weeder.